When you need to deviate from the default settings of QuickPrint, you'll need to choose Print Preview or the regular print command to access the print options. Here's where you can change the number of copies to print, which pages to print, what printer, and so on. So if you don't already have the newsletter that I have open on my screen, navigate to your Lesson 3 folder and open up newsletter.docx. Alright, we're going to access Print from the Office button, so we'll go up to the Office button, down to Print, and we're going to choose Print right up here at the top. This brings open the Print dialog box, and this is what you're probably used to from previous versions of Microsoft Word. So let's just go through some of the things that you can set up here in the Print dialog box for printing this document. First of all, the printer that you're using you can see is listed here in the name field, and I'm using an HP DeskJet. If I click this drop down here, you can see my other choices are Fax and Microsoft XPS Document Writer. So I'm going to leave it at my default, the one with the check mark, and I'm going to click it just to make sure that it's the one that's selected. You can see the status of this, the type, and where it is. It's hooked up to a USB port on my computer. Now if I go over here to Properties, I can get the properties for the printers. So here are the default print settings for my HP DeskJet 3600 series. Right now the color tab is selected, and you can see I'm just using the default print settings. If I wanted to print in grayscale, I could. So right now it's color by default. We've got services over here for calibrating the device and cleaning the cartridges. Here's some finishing options. Here are some effects if I wanted that. Paper quality. So if I choose a different paper and I want to put that through my printer, I might want to come in here to change the paper quality. You can see the type down here is HP Trifold Brochure Paper Glossy. Well, if that's not what I'm using, I can go and choose from more options down here. Over here is my print quality set to normal. So if I was printing something that maybe had some high resolution graphics, I might go to the maximum DPI, which is the best of the best, because you can see the next level down is best, then normal, and fast draft. So if you're just printing a draft document and you want to print it quickly and the quality was not an issue, fast draft would save you some ink, save you some money, and save you some time as well. I'm going to click out here to not select any of those choices. I'll leave the defaults as is. And then we've got an advanced tab here as well, and you can see some of the advanced options, including for graphics, document options, and printer features as well. Okay, I'm just going to click Cancel down here. Remember, that was from the Properties button here, and depending on the actual printer that's selected here in the name field, clicking Properties will of course apply to the selected printer. If you wanted to add another printer, or if you're on a network where you had access to other printers, you'd use the Find Printer button. You have an option here to print to a file, and that's handy if 1. You don't have a printer set up on your computer, or 2. If you wanted to be able to send a document to anybody regardless of what application they're using and know that they're going to be able to print it. When you print a document to file, that file can be printed on any computer, even if they don't have Microsoft Word or any other word processor for that matter. We can do a manual duplex, so if you wanted to print on both sides of your paper. Because of the type of printer I'm using here, manual duplex is an option, so that means I manually have to turn the paper over to print on the other side, but at least I'll be prompted to do so. Down here are some of the options that we're used to using. For example, you can see the page range here is selected at all. In other words, all pages in my document will be printed if I was to come down here and click OK. Now, if I only wanted to print the current page, I would select that here. Or if I wanted to select specific pages, such as 1 and 3, I could put 1, 3. Or if I wanted pages 1 through 3, it would be a 1-3. You got the idea. If I wanted pages 1 through 3 and 5 and 7 through 8, you got the idea now. You can keep typing in the page ranges that you want and keep filling up this field all you like until you've got the exact pages you want to print. Over here is where we choose the number of copies, and I'm just going to change this back to current page. If I wanted more than one copy of the current page, here's where I can change the number. I can use the up and down arrows, or I could come in here and type in the exact number of copies I want. Keep in mind, if I was printing all pages, which means in this case both pages of my document, and I wanted 10 copies, I would probably want collate selected. And all that means is that they're going to come out in order, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I don't have to manually put pages 1 and 2 together in two stacks of page 1s and page 2s, if you know what I mean. Down below you can see under Print What, document is selected. If we click the drop down, we can print out the document properties, the document showing all kinds of markup. We haven't talked about that yet, but we will. list of markup, styles, building blocks, all kinds of stuff that can be printed aside from just the document. Also, we've got a print field here, all pages in the range. We could do just odd pages and even pages if we wanted to. Again, that's a way of manually sending a group of pages to the printer, so you could then maybe print on the other side of the page, the even pages, for example, if we had selected odd pages. I'm going to leave it as all pages. And over here we have some zoom levels as well. You can see pages per sheet. So one page is the selection here, and if I click this down, I could show 2 pages per sheet of paper, 4 pages, and so on. 1 page, though, is the default. We want it just the way we see it in the background here. We can also scale to a paper size. So for example, if we had a different paper size loaded into our printer, we might want to scale it down or up to fit that paper. Right now we're using 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. That's our default. But if I put A4 paper in there, maybe it wouldn't fit any longer, and I'd have to scale it down to A4 by selecting it from the list. So we'll just leave it at no scaling, and we're ready to print by clicking the OK button. Now, before I do, there are some printing options that can be set up for Word, not just this print job. And these options are accessible from the print preview screen that we saw earlier, or from this options button down here in the bottom left corner. Clicking the Options button, you can see brings open our Word Options dialog box. You can see Display is selected because in the Display section down below, we've got printing options. So print drawings created in Word, those will print out. Print background colors and images. If we wanted to, we could select that to do that. Print document properties, hidden text. As soon as we set these up, they become the default. So that means when we go to our print properties, we'll see those defaults set up for every print job unless we say otherwise by changing the options here in the print dialog. So clicking OK will print. Off it goes to my printer. There's that error message we saw, kind of a warning that it might not fit in the printable area, but we click yes, and off it goes to our printer. So that covers printing. It's time now to start looking at how we can spice up what we're printing. So next, we'll look at editing and formatting text in our documents.